Hey, this is Kirk, and I'm back.
And this is Bird. Welcome back, Kirk. This is Kirk and Bird, and we're continuing our review of Prince William County football with two of the best on this topic. We got the godfather of Prince William County sports, Jay Gholson, who is the voice of the Freedom Woodbridge football and basketball team. And we've got Brian Westhoff with us. Brian is a graduate of Potomac and the University of Virginia. He's got extensive knowledge in football. He coached at American Pride, which is now 703. He was actually president of the board over there. And I had the pleasure of coaching along with Brian with Benton Middle School. We ran the defense, went undefeated, and won the championship for Prince William County's eastern side. So, wow. Brian and Jay, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, gentlemen. So we've been on a roll talking about Prince William County every week. So everybody watching, please subscribe to us on YouTube channels. Most people don't, but that's okay.
Push that button.
That's right. So we're also, and we'll put this in the description, we're going to talk about the state overall. We're taping, anyway, we're going to have a 757 segment coming out. Well, we're going to talk about the 757 and Richmond. And we'll mark those as far as where those are. But I know, Rusty, you wanted to kick off with, I believe, this past weekend's games. And yep. I didn't get the chance to make it to the Forest. But what was the Friday game we were talking about?
So Thursday night,
right,
there were two big games, and we'll talk about those. It was Freedom versus Garfield. Garfield had beaten Freedom the last 2 years, actually won the district one of those years. And Potomac was at Forest Park. So those were the Thursday night games. And then we had some Friday games. So we'll start right there. We'll start with Jay was covering Freedom for us while I was covering Forest Park. Jay, tell us a little bit about that revenge game.
Well, like you said earlier, Garfield beat Freedom 2 years in a row. It's a little bit of trash talking from Garfield. But in that game, it was, wow. It was just, the D line for Freedom held Garfield to I think it was 5 yards rushing in the second half. It was a total domination. You had TJ Bush was dominating. Jeff Overton scored 5 touchdowns.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw that video. He jumped over that.
Jumping over.
That was amazing.
Running back.
He's only a sophomore. He's only a sophomore. But Freedom is on a mission. I mean, their mindset right now, they told me, is battlefield. Because they want to play, they've already revenged against Stonebridge and won. They want to revenge against Garfield. They won. Now the next step in their mind is battlefield down the road. So Freedom is on a mission. They're the best team in the state. 757, I'm telling you, Freedom High School is the best team right now in the state of Virginia.
All right. We're going to get off topic. So let's just, why do you say that?
So
why do you say that?
Again?
One, main thing for Freedom High School compared to other schools in the state of Virginia is team chemistry. Okay. All these guys have played together for, before high school, Little League, PME. And now, they're mostly sophomores and juniors. The quarterback was a varsity starter as a freshman when Davis Bryson got hurt. The running back, Overton's only a sophomore. The receivers are sophomores and juniors. So they're fast, they're well coached, disciplined, and they want anybody.
You could tell last year they were pretty dominant with a whole ton of freshmen and sophomores at the skill positions besides the quarterback. And you could just tell there's a year of maturity, both physically, mentally. I mean, they're rolling.
Absolutely.
So what was that score, Jay, again? Was it 60 something?
Yeah, they laid it on them. I mean, yeah. I think Smith's problem might be they're not going to get a test until the playoffs. And as we discussed before we started recording, they've got Thomas Dale in Manchester, and Thomas Dale is a good team. They'll make playoffs. But that may be the problem, whereas, Freedom Woodbridge is going to have to get to the state. They're going to have to play, they're going to have to play a great schedule. But, as far as the kids playing together, I don't think that's a liability for Smith. And then as far as the kids they lost, they reload. They may not be top heavy on the seniors. So they've got a kid, Taj Boyd, going to Liberty.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah.
For Tank. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then they've got 10th and 11th graders. So,
however, though, Oscar Smith has 3 different quarterbacks. You can't win in this league, high school football, college, whatever. You need one guy.
Yeah, but in the playoffs, that could be totally different. So I bet you he's good.
Find out. Yeah.
And
3.
And I'm sure Oscar Smith would tell you that those kids have played together since youth football. They played middle school together.
Oh, yeah. The Cole boys. The Cole boys.
It's some similarities. And you know what? It doesn't matter if you got 3 quarterbacks, if they're handing it off and just running behind that powerful offensive line. Now, it's young. It's not last year's line, but it's young, but it's quality. But that quarterback won't matter if you can just hand the ball off and you can't stop it. That's what turned it around last year in the state championship game. Now, their quarterback, Oscar Smith's quarterback, was great last year, and he turned it around. He's at Kansas, but listen, that game got close after Madison scored, and the people up there, we were on their side. They didn't get nervous, but what they did was they put those horses in. They had 2 different style offensive lines. When they put the big boys in, they pounded the rock.
That running back that's going to is at Norfolk State was the best player on the field, in my humble opinion. But anyway, Brian, I want to ask you, as far as power rankings, because Jay keeps talking about, his endless smack talking, which I like.
Jay should not talk on power rankings, by the way.
What I'm saying is, I want to get.
I'm here to correct everything he says. It is constant false information that comes.
Okay, funny story. Hold on a second. Funny story. Last season, it ended, right? And Potomac was ranked number 8 on the A seed by VHSL. Brian says to me, Jay, man, this is wrong. What do you mean, Brian? This is Potomac. They're number 8. That VHL is not wrong. Jay, they're wrong. Next morning, big post article. We made a mistake. Potomac's out in the playoffs. We apologize. I was like, you know what? That's what you call University of Virginia math. So Brian is a point person.
Let's hold on. We're gonna. That's one of the reasons we got Professor Brian Westhoff to discuss those rankings. He's created this mad formula to be better in the VHSL, and you don't have to show us the magic, but just explain and tell us why Jay doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah, so anyway, let's finish going through a couple of those games. So Freedom wins big over Garfield. I was at and helped cover the Forest Park Potomac game, and I was at that game last year. Last year it went into overtime and they won on a field goal. But this year it was very different, and Forest Park handily beat Potomac 35-2. They got a safety at the end. I think there was a snap and it went behind the quarterback in the back of the end zone. But Forest Park, this is the Forest Park a lot of us have been waiting to see. That massive offensive line, they really controlled the game. And so now I know they probably feel like they're going to get back on track. I've always thought they could be one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the district and region. But one of the things is they've got 3 losses. Now, they're out of district, but they're 3 losses. So they're not getting those points, right, Brian? But they will get points because they were good teams.
Yeah, I mean, 2 of the 3 teams will probably have pretty strong records. So they'll collect a bunch of bonus points, even though you get 1 bonus point for a loss, 2 for a win against your opponents you played. So they have a strong strength of schedule.
Okay. Now, but I guess my point is they're riding high. They just had a win, but now they have freedom. All right. So the 2 of the teams I think that are best in that Cardinal district, and if they lose, that's going to be 4 losses. They got 2 wins to 4 losses, which means they really probably need to try to run the table because 6-4 probably get you in, but I don't know about 5-5 with so many really strong Cedar Run district teams. Any thoughts on any of you guys?
Do you see things playing out where with what Jay is talking about, actually having, which would be the semifinals, having Oscar Smith come up here?
They will, because of their schedule. Number one, I'm sorry, Professor Brian, they have 9 games this year. So far this year, they played 2 teams with no wins. Hickory has no wins, and Grassfield has no wins.
Okay, but you've got Indian River, which is a very, very good program coming up this Friday.
Okay.
Great Bridge, a wrestling school. Kings Fork is a great 4A program. Western Branch is going to be very good. They may only lose to Smith, and then they've got Phoebus, which is going to count on the 5th. Phoebus should not lose a game to them. I think their schedule is stronger than Freedom Woodbridge. And that's not 7-5-7.
No.
All right.
Brian.
Hold. Stop. Brian, we turn to Mr. Brian. Brian.
Yeah.
Brian.
The expert.
So my first question on out of all the stuff that Kirk just said is, does state division class matter in those calculations?
Hey,
so if you're playing
Brian's got an anthropology degree like everybody else who goes to UVA. So let's hear it on.
Hey, I'm an engineer, buddy. I was at the bottom of my class, but I was a UVA.
You play football?
Yeah, I did not play football at UVA. So to answer your question on class, it actually evens out. I won't dive too much into it, but basically the way the rating system works, there's a few different components. You get points for your wins, losses. So if you're a Class 6 team, you're going to get 26 points. If you win, if you lose, you get 14. So that's the first component. Second component, you get bonus points depending on how your opponents do in the rest of their games. So if you beat a team and that team wins, you get 2 points for each win, okay, that your defeated opponent had. If you lose to that team, you get 1 point for each win that team you lost to. So if Forest Park loses to Freedom next week, they're going to get 1 bonus point for every win that Freedom has. Yep. If Forest Park beats Freedom next week, they're going to get 2 points for every win. So wins, losses, performance of your opponent, right? Those are the 2 main areas. There's one other little thing. If a Class 6 team plays down and plays a Class 4 team, they actually get bonus points to even it out. So in other words, if a Class 6 plays a Class 4 and they beat them, instead of getting 26 points for that win, they get 22.
Oh.
Okay. But they get 4 extra points for playing down 2 divisions. So ultimately they get 26 for that win regardless. So think of it as it really doesn't matter if you play down, just like when Osborne played Manassas Park last year. Class 6 played a Class 3. Osborne got 20 points for that win, 26 for a Class 6, 24 for a Class 5, 22 for a Class 4, 20 for a Class 3. They beat a Class 3, got 20 points. Then they got a 6 extra bonus points for that 26. And the reason that is in place is because Colonial Forge, for example, is part of Class 6, but they play in a district primarily of Class 5 teams. So to make them whole and competitive in Class 6 Region B, they're going to get those extra points when they play Mountain View, Riverbend, some of those other schools.
So let me ask you this.
Okay, but to simplify it, wins, losses, and how your opponents do in terms of wins.
That makes
score
sense.
Doesn't matter. None of that matters.
Right. They're making that difference up for teams that are 6 that are playing a 3 or 4. But what if you're a 3 or 4 and you beat those 6? Are they going to give you extra points?
It's funny because I only focus on Class 6. I haven't run like Brentsville's numbers.
Okay.
So like if Brentsville plays a Class 5, I believe they still just get Class 3 points. It only is the extra points if you play down.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll confirm that, but it's pretty much that's kind of the way it is. So you almost can ignore the class thing just because there's so many teams playing up and down.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go through the rest of of what happened in the district, in the region. So we know that Battlefield played Osborne, beat them 35-6.
On their homecoming.
Yeah, it was Osborne.
Doesn't that sound like a normal Battlefield score though? Like There's never a 65-0 battlefield. It's always they just control the game and, dominate and win, but not a high scoring team.
Brentsville beat Meridian 55-2. Woodbridge kind of crushed Hilton. Patriot beat OP 56-0. Now, this is one of the ones I want to talk about a little bit about. Champ beat Unity Reed. And the reason I want to talk about that is because it's giving some perspective that I talked about last week. As a Colgan parent, we're sitting there going, Champ? Freedom? But these two teams are doing well. Now, they haven't gotten really deep. They haven't gotten deep into Cedar Run District play, but it gives you a little bit different perspective when you go, oh, wait a minute, Freedom and Champ aren't that bad.
Champ's tough. They're throwing 40+ times a game. They're throwing a ton. They have a new coach there. Their offense is different than what it was in the past. In the past, I always saw them as a big kind of pounding team, not a lot of speed. And you saw it, Jay. Both you and Rusty were there. They have athletes. They were fast.
Yeah.
Some complex stuff they were running, route combos and everything. It was giving Colgan fits.
Yeah. So
they're tough.
Yeah. So I say that because we don't know it. We're going, okay, they beat Colgan, but they beat Unity Reed. Unity Reed beat Westfield, and Westfield is rolling now. Westfield is doing pretty well. So so those were some of the scores, and I very quickly want to talk about this. So there were a lot of blowouts. We're talking 35-zip, 55-2, 35-2. Woodbridge was like 59-zip maybe over Hilton. Champ had a huge score over Unity Reed, and Freedom had put up 60 on Garfield. And it's some of the same stuff if I pull up some of the scores from the 757, Oscar Smith, Phoebus, it's a lot of that going on. My team, Bethel, we won our homecoming, I think 48-zip over Denby. And so there's a lot of haves and have-nots. And we won't get into why that is, but I just am interested in if you guys have a take on the impact this is having or will continue to have on high school sports. Because it's not just football. I see the same thing in baseball. I've seen it in a lot soccer. Any thoughts on that? It really stood out to me. And the reason it stood out this weekend is because I saw it all over the state. And I'm going, can a program like Hilton that traditionally has been a power, not just in this district or region, but in the state, to drop so fast, so quickly, how do they recover? How do they recover? And so, with a lot of these programs, what are your thoughts?
Here's my take. It's like America. There's no middle class anymore. It's either you're here or you're here. And in football, high school football, for one, the passing game is way beyond what I was used to seeing growing up playing. Teams run a shotgun every play. Most teams run a shotgun. And the passing game is there. The players are a lot better at one school versus another school. And impact may be, I hate to say it, it might cause some cheap shots from the losing team.
That was one of my. Go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say, as far as football goes, I think probably over the last 10 years, the dynamic has changed on how you build a football program. You can't ignore the middle school and the youth programs, right? That's the ingredient for success right now. If you look at Freedom, if you look at Garfield, they have coaches that came up through the youth ranks. They have a pipeline of players that played for those coaches of the youth ranks. You rewind 15 years ago, that's not the way it was. And football in general is struggling with numbers to begin with, right? Now, probably over the last 7 or 8 years.
And we've seen that in youth football.
Where every school was able to field freshman JV varsity. They'd have 80 kids, or 100 kids playing. And you're able to, that pool of people assemble a pretty good competitive team. If you got numbers that are now 35 across those three and you're barely fielding a JV program, you're going to see some of the scores you see. So it's really important to look at the youth level to make sure you're getting participation numbers coming. And that's what bugs me with the class 6 versus class 5, class 4. It doesn't mean anything anymore. I mean, you got tons of class 6 programs with very low football numbers, turnout. So
I freedom. They have low numbers. They have 42 players.
Yeah.
The difference is those 42 are a lot different than the 40 that may be at an OP. I mean, they came through a youth program and they're pulling from just a more experienced level of kids that have played football and athletic talent.
Yeah. I think you get into a lot of geopolitical and socioeconomic issues also, depending on, where the kids are and those type of things. Because in DC, you never see a kid out of the city anymore. They're going to be going to St. John's. They're going to be going to DeMatha. They're going to, and those guys can do whatever they want. I mean, and it's legal.
And nowadays, I don't think it's just concussion. I mean, that was like the easy, point at the reason. It's a bunch of different things. And it's not just football. I mean, I just think participation numbers in general across all kinds of sports. I mean, you read the articles from a couple of months ago, and it's showing, so-and-so is not going to be fielding this team in this sport. And so you would have never heard that 10, 15 years ago. So
no, you're right. We don't even have to get into all of the technology and social media, but I think all of that is impacting. And I've heard our generation saying for the last 20 years, kids don't go out and play anymore. Well, they don't. I would just go play basketball, or just go play. We would play tackle football in my backyard or somebody's, and I just don't see quite as much of that. And that lent itself to me. I remember looking up to the high school players thinking I could never play high school football, but I love to play football. And we played in the neighborhood. And then I realized with the kids in the neighborhood, I was pretty good. And then they were playing youth football. And I was like, I want to play, even though I was like, I don't think I can. And then you get out there, oh yeah, I actually was pretty decent, but I was doing it anyway, And a lot of kids, I know some kids, their love may just come from playing Madden, not actually getting hit, So anyway, I just thought I'd talk about that, and we'll maybe kind of monitor that over the next couple of weeks, because I think it's definitely had a negative impact in terms of programs. When you see, Manassas Park had to shut down their program. I know Denby has really had to. I don't know what it is this year.
Yeah, they may forfeit a couple games.
Yeah, they only had like 16 players in the program or something. And so it's tough. It's tough. And so I think, but it can be turned around. And I'll give you an example. I think Garfield and Colgan's original coach started around the same time. And Garfield was getting drummed for years. And I remember even Colgan beating them pretty bad one time. And I said, Garfield knows what they're doing. They're going to be on the right track because they have relationship building. I saw the way they developed and put together a great coaching staff and relationships in the community, youth football. And I said, they're not going to be bad long. And they've turned it around. I mean, they actually won a district championship 2 years ago. So if you have the right people in place and you have the right support from the administration, I think it can happen. And if you think about it, Freedom was a losing program for years.
A lot of years.
And Coach Overton went in there and turned it around. So, all right, well, we'll just kind of stay on top of that a bit. Is there did you guys notice any particular performances, any athletes stuck out to you over this last weekend of football? We talked about Overton and his play against Garfield. I thought Forest Park, Quentin Pulley, the quarterback of Forest Park, played well. He was able to use his legs and had some nice runs. And then their offensive line, I won't say an individual, I will say that collective group can be dominant. And so they put it together and did well. Anybody else kind of stick out?
Also for Forest Park, JoJo Cook is running the ball well this year.
Yeah, that's right.
Going into the season, I was curious to see who Coach Robinette was going to have running the ball. And he played, for us, in youth, but he's definitely doing well.
Yeah, he is.
too. I think that guy from Patriot, that backup quarterback, Scott Bateman, he's playing very well still. I think it's third game in a row. And they're so far undefeated. And, without Sam Fernandez.
Yeah. So, going forward, I think, I think the Cedar Run district is going to be a very interesting for a lot of reasons, for reasons that so many teams are really good. And I think the Cardinal district is going to be interesting because you got a lot of teams that aren't great, but you never know going who can win. Like Forest Park, we didn't know going into that game if they were going to be able to beat Potomac, but they beat them like that. But you know what? We still don't know if Forest Park can beat Garfield or Woodbridge or Colgan. We don't know, so we'll see. And I think that number 2 and 3 slot in the Cardinal district is still up for grabs.
Well, and the 2 and 3 slot as the district doesn't matter anymore, unfortunately, right? Like it's the region rating,
right?
Like what counts. So, like if you look at the regional ratings, the playoff system, I think what it's going to come down to is you're going to have kind of the top 3 clearly, Freedom, Patriot, and Battlefield, all trying to run the table. And, depending on how the PowerPoints work out, they're going to be neck and neck on points. And I know, Jay, you keep saying Freedom has a way better schedule. It's actually like, yes, they beat Stonebridge, right? But Battlefield and Freedom, assuming they're going to both, or Battlefield and Patriot, assuming they both go 9-0 and play each other in the last game, one of them is going to finish 10-0, potentially just like Freedom. Right. And they're going to beat a 9-1 team, just like Freedom beat a 9-1 Stonebridge. So kind of cancels each other out. What?
There's 2 teams. Riverbend also.
I know. And hang on. So Riverbend will finish probably with 7 wins. Like if you start looking at the rest of their schedule, they're going to finish with 7 wins, much like a champ has the potential to finish with 7 wins. So my point is, you start going down their schedule, they're going to be neck and neck on points. It's not, yes, right now, Freedom's strength of schedule has been much harder because they had, some heavyweights at the very beginning. But Battlefield and Patriot are going to start racking up those bonus points. So if you look at the ratings, it's those 3. I think you're going to have kind of a pool of 3 teams battling for 4 and 5. And then you got probably 5 to 6 teams battling for those last 2 to 3 playoff spots. And they all play each other here in the next probably 4 weeks. So.
Brian, I'm sorry, Kirk. I just had one other question. So we talk a lot about Prince William County, but there is Colonial Forge. Does Colonial Forge, like say they win the district? It's not. Would they get an automatic bid, or is it still points?
Doesn't matter.
No,
points.
This doesn't mean anything anymore, really.
Here's the deal: they play Hollis Springs on Friday.
Yeah,
but that'll be a loss.
So, you guys being the Prince William guys, what's your thought right now on Battlefield Patriot?
I think right now, if the key word, if Sam Fernandez plays, I give Patriot the edge. If he doesn't play, I'll give him Battlefield the edge.
What do you think, Brian?
I'm pretty much in agreement, surprisingly, with Jay.
What about Rusty? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think Sam's the difference maker for Patriot. I think they'll be able to handle business over the next few weeks, but towards the end of the season, that's when they are going to need Sam back.
And for our last episode, for you all watching that haven't checked us out before, we had Brody Carroll and Sam Fernandez on, if you want to check that out. But so, Rusty, what's your pick? Battlefield Patriot?
I'm going to assume that Sam is going to be back, but I say this: I think Patriot is just a really strong program. I think Battlefield is really good too, but I believe that Patriot can not only beat Battlefield but can beat Freedom.
What?
Not saying they will, but I think Patriot with a healthy Sam Fernandez can beat Freedom.
Oh man!
Right, so I got a question on the seedings. So, and Brian, you can chime in. So, will this region, Freedom's going to be number 1, and let's just say Patriot's going to be number 2. So that would put Battlefield 3, which would take in the state quarters, I think,
Regional semis.
Regional semis.
Yeah.
Regional
Right.
semis.
Or round of 16.
You want that one seed, so you don't have to go play the other.
So there's probably going to be a Patriot Battlefield rematch, probably, right, in the playoffs to play Garfield or Freedom Woodbridge. Okay.
Actually, if Freedom ends up with higher points, but again, I think it's going to be neck and neck. I mean, you're going to have to really watch the scoreboard of every team that these three teams play to see how they're doing each week, because because it matter.
Kurt, what he's saying is Battlefield could be 1 and Freedom be 2 if they're both 10-0.
Yeah.
So who do you all like for the other region? So we've got James Madison in Vienna, and then we've got Lake Braddock is undefeated.
I like it right now, just so you know, the ratings, the two regions, the two number 1 teams, it's West Springfield and what's the other one?
Well, Lake Braddock's right over there near West Springfield, so they're probably
as far as power ratings, I'm talking about
power ratings, yeah,
the way that it's mapping out.
Okay.
Oh, West
Springfield
right now.
I would say Westfield. I think Westfield,
even with one loss, they're number 1 right now.
Because they have some quality wins. Yeah, yep. But now I haven't seen the layout, but again, I think Fairfax, they're still they used to always mix up the semis, Fairfax, but I'm saying I think the Fairfax regions will still play each other in the semis.
Yes.
So they'll cancel each other out, but one Fairfax program will be in the finals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That is so. Yeah. So that's some good stuff. All right. So let's we've talked about the district. We've talked a little bit about the region, and we don't want to take too much time here, but we've covered a lot of the things that I wanted to. But do you guys have your individual top 5? I know Jay likes to post his on Facebook, but how would you rank? Now, Professor Westhoff, you may go strictly by the numbers. And we know Jay goes by his whatever formula he thinks because of quarterback play or
which way the wind blows.
They have to travel. They have to travel. That always is a big factor for Jay and his.
Yeah, when Freedom has to travel to Garfield, that's a difference maker. Like I don't understand the home field advantage thing.
Yeah, when
actually, I made a mistake.
Forest Park travels to Colgan. Oh,
actually, I made a mistake in my poll. I made a mistake.
So let's get the updated polls.
Yeah. So actually.
Brian, hold on, Josh. Since you updated it, we'll let you go last.
Okay.
Brian, you're the rookie to the show. Name your top 5 teams in the region.
Well, of course, Colgan is number 1.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. They're hopefully going to do well here in the coming weeks. And obviously, I'm rooting for them. But Freedom, I got 1. Patriot, I got 2. Assuming Sam is back. Battlefield 3. I think Forest Park is 4. I think they're rolling. I think they're a dangerous team, and Quentin's running a whole lot more than he did in years past, and I think that makes them dangerous. And I got Brentsville 5 as far as Prince William County. Now, if you were to extend it to the Region B teams, I'd put Champ up in that top 5, but if you're just talking Prince William County, we'll leave Champ out.
Okay. All right. Well, so we'll leave it at Prince William County because that's how Jay has kind of always done it. Because when you talk about the region, yeah, you're talking about Champ, Freedom, and Colonial Forge. And we're only going 5. So, all right, if we go top 10, we'll definitely in the future, we'll go the whole region. All right, Kirk, my man, you don't know that much about Prince William, and you don't really know that much about football, but let's just hear what you have to say.
I know. You got to watch those 5'7" fullbacks. You know how Notre Dame's always overrated, and then Virginia Tech's gotten a lot of that because they were so good for so long, and there's other teams. I think Stonebridge is a little overrated, and therefore I think Freedom Woodbridge is a little overrated. So I'd give Patriot number 1. I'd give Freedom Woodbridge number 2, Battlefield number 3, and I would say after that, we're talking just Prince William. I don't know. With Brentsville losing to Kettle Run, they lost to Kettle Run, didn't they?
Yeah.
Undefeated. Kettle Run's good though.
Undefeated.
Okay.
Kettle Run's good.
Yeah. Well, I would say so those are the top three, and those are interchangeable. And I would go.
Wait a minute. What are your top three? Patriot, Freedom, Brentsville?
No.
You didn't say Battlefield?
Battlefield.
Oh, okay.
And then I would go, based on my limited knowledge, I think Forest Park is going to right the ship. And then Brentsville, we're not going to know because they don't play anybody. They don't play anybody else. So, their test, I mean, they lost. So I wouldn't put Brentsville in there. I put a Forest Park and, as a sleeper team, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know that area as well as you guys do, but I think Forest Park is going to be a team to reckon with, and maybe Brentsville. But if you look at, like you were talking about, Brentsville just played the school in downtown Falls Church. What are they called? Meridian. They're class 2, man. So, so what's that?
They dropped?
No, they've always been class 2. Meridian.
No, they played them
3.
No, they're 3. They played Brentsville in the playoffs last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would get you guys to help me out with the 5th. I know that.
When in doubt, just say Kobe.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah.
And then you've got Unity Reed. It's got some good players. I don't know enough about them. So
yeah.
All right. That's who I'd go with.
Okay. So, Jay, I'll go next. I'll go next.
All right.
All right. So I'll start from the bottom up. I'm gonna go number 5. I've got Woodbridge. Woodbridge is 3-2 now, right? And they don't have a lot of quality wins, but they did beat Massaponax. And so that was kind of a surprise.
You call Massaponax a quality win, though? They're struggling this year.
They're struggling this year, but traditionally they've been decent. I don't know until the season continues to play out how good that a win that is. But I'm going to go Woodbridge at that number 5 spot. I will put Brentsville at number 4. I've got Battlefield, Patriot, and Freedom. Now, Forest Park, I think they're a really good team, but I also know that they're about to probably be 2-4. And so I just don't know how I can have them in the top 5 right now. And I still think, I mean, they've shown that they can be good, but I think there are other teams in this district that can beat them. So
one thing
that's my take.
Now I'm showing my age, but 1977, Garfield went 0-3. Guess what? They won 12 in a row in the state championship and lost to Hampton 12-7. So you can be 2-4 or 0-3 and turn around, be really hot and win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that was a different time.
Forest Park had to make a
16 teams. You had 16 teams in the playoffs back then. 4 regions.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm showing my age. I know. Yeah.
But can you? I know that's 45 years ago. But can you name a team? Can you name a team that's come even remotely close to doing that in like the last 15 years? And I would say no.
No.
Yeah.
Now, my top 5.
Okay.
Bottom to top. Number 5, I have Forest Park.
Okay.
Number 4, I have Brentsville. Number 3, I have Patriot because of San Fernando's not playing yet. So they're number 3.
Okay.
Number 2, Battlefield. Like I said, they have 35-0 wins. They're winning. They're playing bad teams, but they're winning by 30+ points. And number 1, Freedom. Now, for honorable mention,
Freedom South Riding?
No. Prince William County, Price Waterhouse.
I know.
Come on, stick to the program.
Now listen. Also,
you were serious.
For honorable mention, I have Woodbridge.
Okay.
So they're 3-2, but they played like Brian said. They haven't played anybody with a winning record yet. They haven't beat a team yet with a winning record. So that's why they're 3-2. Yeah.
And so,
just to kind of underscore that, of the 16 teams, remember, Woodbridge has actually played 5 games. Others have played 4. Woodbridge has the least amount of bonus points of all 16 teams in the region. They have 7 bonus points. Everybody else has at least double digits.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, Patriot has 6. Patriot and Woodbridge is 7.
Okay.
So,
so
it just kind of emphasizes strength of schedule hasn't been that great. So
how does Garfield strength of schedule kind of align? Because they
got 14 bonus points over 4 games. So
so Garfield could be right there in that honorable mention.
Garfield's played North Stafford, Mountain View, Patriot, and Freedom. So yeah, Mountain View, Patriot, and Freedom.
Mountain View. So you talk about Forest Park having a tough schedule. Yeah. So look, Forest Park, I gave you some bulletin board material. I did not put you in my top 5, but
I did.
But you
I put them 4. I put them 4.
I know, but I'm saying let's see what Forest Park does. I'm a big fan of what they do there, Coach John Robinette and that whole staff. They got they got a few APYFL coaches on that sideline, making us proud.
I want to get y'all's opinion on recruits, because this year there's only 2, Colt Serber and the Battlefield, Caleb.
Amari Campbell. Were you saying Power 5 recruits? Yeah,
I mean, and none of them were in the top 25. And Amari Campbell, by the way, when North Carolina, and this is Rivals, I like Rivals better than 247 or 24/7, but Amari Campbell ranked 32 in North Carolina. You know, back in the day, we're all 80s, late 80s. The number 32 player in Virginia was probably going D2 or D3. That tells you something. But my question to you guys is, this year, you got 3 in the top 35 in Prince William, and next year, none in the top 25. Has recruiting fell off? Are you guys losing more kids to private schools down there?
Well, we got TJ Bush. He's also committed to Coastal Carolina from Freedom.
Yeah. I haven't seen the actual rankings for the class of 2024 to comment on who's in there, but I wouldn't say at all that recruiting's fallen off on Prince William County. I just think it kind of ebbs and flows a little bit in terms of, top 20 rankings across the state.
And by the way, Jeff Overton got an offer from Maryland, and so did Juju Preston last week. So I think the class of 2025 for Freedom,
right,
they're getting offers.
Okay. Yeah, and I think I agree with Brian. It ebbs and flows. I mean, last year we had the number 1 linebacker in the country. And Sean Murphy. And 8 years ago we had the number 1 player in the entire country, Deshaun Hand. So it definitely ebbs and flows. And it just depends on how far you're tracking it. And to me, they're just numbers. Nobody really knows because look, to me, it's not just about what you go to some camp or how you're playing. To me, it's, do you go to the right place and have the right fit? And because you can commit to Florida State, but if you hate it, you might need to leave. And you could commit, like kids have gone. We had kids in Kentucky and different places. Is it the right fit? And then it doesn't matter about the stars, because if Kirk, you're a Virginia Tech grad. Virginia Tech didn't just worry about the stars. They were getting ballers. They were just like, who's a dog? Like, tell me who can really play. I don't care about the publicity. And that's how they built that program. And so, the rankings, they mean something to some people, but as a parent, and Brian and I can tell you, it's just tough right now for kids to get recruited, period, out of high school. They're using the transfer portal. And you still got kids with these extra years from COVID. So rankings and who's going where doesn't mean the same as what it meant a few years ago.
Yeah, I agree. And it's too bad that the classes are full. 2023 is full. Almost everybody's committed.
Wow.
Which basically means there are going to be some really good football players that are not going to get Power 5 or Division I offers, like Old Dominion. JMU's even in there, which, by the way, is probably the best Division I football program in the state of Virginia right now. Shout out to the Dukes. They're doing very well.
Were you just talking to my son? Did he just? My son graduated.
No, I mean, hey,
he was texting me earlier saying we are now the best team in Virginia, not you.
Yeah.
I called that going into this year. JMU.
They know what they're without a question the best team, and I would put Liberty or Richmond probably as number 2.
Ooh.
Liberty, man, Liberty is stacked. They have a football-only facility. Last time I checked, Virginia Tech and UVA just broke ground. So they're going to beat Virginia Tech to that. UVA got an indoor practice facility before Virginia Tech. They have much deeper pockets.
Look at ODU, our 2 teams, Kirk. You guys lost ODU. We barely won.
Barely beat them. Yeah, I think ODU is one of the better teams too. Well, look, guys, this has been a lot of fun.
Yep.
I appreciate the professor joining us, and of course, the godfather of Prince William County sports. You guys know your stuff. If you like what we're saying, or if you don't, it's very easy to not like what Jay is saying. Please comment. We love to hear. Please comment.
Jay,
subscribe.
Push that button.
Thumbs up or thumbs down.
Jay, you owe me 2 or 3 dinners from last
3.
year. Okay, so Anthony Jones, his wife, Tiana Caven Jones, and her husband. Okay, that's 4. Rusty, me.
I think Jay owes like 30 dinners.
We got about 7 or 8 people that you're going to owe, and
they will be here on Thanksgiving weekend when Oscar Smith plays Freedom on that Saturday.
Okay, I think that's going to be neck and neck. By the way, I really do. That's going to be very close. Don't be surprised if Battlefield goes down or Patriot goes down to Oscar Smith. By the way, which will be at Oscar Smith.
All right.
So. Hey, this is all really good stuff. One of the things we're also trying to do is we're trying to get Kirkenberg 1,000 subscribers by the end of October. So if you did not hear your high school, it might be because you're not subscribing. I know that Patriot, Colgan, Freedom, they have been Battlefield. They are on it. So we want to get. We need a little bit more Forest Park. We need a whole lot more Hilton. We need to get more subscribers from Garfield and Woodbridge, and we will give you love.
Right.
I'm telling you,
Rusty,
help us.
There are a lot of people with their privacy. So a lot of older folks use a laptop or a tablet where the kids all use their phone. If you go to YouTube and look up the Kirk and Bird Show, all you have to do is hit subscribe. If you're on a laptop, it'll ask you to sign in via Facebook or Google. So a lot of people are like, I had somebody that helped me out, and I was like, just go to your phone. I don't want anybody having my information, Google. So there you go. Go to your phone, go to YouTube, type it in. And by the way, for $70, which I'm not going to do, I believe in natural organic growth, we can buy 1,000 subscribers. 60% will be overseas and 40% will be US. People hit me up on LinkedIn, but we're not going to do that. We're going to do the old fashioned.
We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. All right. So thanks, guys.
I'm sorry. Me cutting you off for a change. All right. So anyway, we're going to have a great Hokie guest. We got him on tomorrow night. That's a teaser. So everybody out there in Hokie Nation, check us out. And,
Hokie and Prince William County Nation.
Well, the thing is that if you look at our channel, we've got a lot of Prince William. We got a lot of high school. I don't think anybody brings it to you. We're more of a qualitative where we sit and talk as opposed to just going through the scoreboard. So you're going to get in-depth Prince William County talk here. So yeah, help us out. And then we will be back on next week. And so we're also going to do a 757 segment for anybody in the 757. We're actually going to be putting that out any day now. So we're going to get in depth with the Peninsula, Hampton, Newport News, Williamsburg, York County, and then the whole South Side. You got the Beach District, Tidewater District, and the Southeastern District. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to have that out, and we'll see how things pan out.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
All
right.
Thanks again, guys. You were great. And let's just see how these things play out. It's been a fun season thus far, and let's just again put things in perspective week to week. It's hard to project it out, but I love how things are going so far. So look, this has been Brian Westhoff, Jay Gholson, joining Kirk Hilliard and Rusty Bird on the Kirk and Bird Show. We are out.